Hello, welcome back to Attack on Titan enthusiasts. Attack on Titan first started getting published back in 2009, and it continued on for 11 and a half years. Many characters have appeared throughout this over 10-year-long series. But did you know that among these characters, some of them were known mostly for how much they were hated by the readers? In this video, we'll go over the most hated characters according to the internet, and some of the reasons they're probably hated so much. This ranking will be based on my personal opinions as well. If you're an Attack on Titan fan too, why don't you subscribe so you can get notifications when we release a new video? Please be aware, this video contains spoilers up to the final chapter of the manga. Number 10. Daz. Daz was a member of the 104th class of cadets, same as the protagonist Eren. He's not really hated that much, but his lazy attitude definitely stood out. When the wall was destroyed and Titans started invading the Trost district, he was so terrified that he tried to kill himself to avoid getting eaten by Titans. Even after that, his fear didn't go away. In the scene where he defies his superiors and tries to abandon his post, he says that it's 100 times better to be executed than to be eaten by the Titans, and draws his sword. Daz witnessed Titans eating his companions right in front of him, and it would be normal for someone to be afraid of being eaten by the Titans. So this was actually a realistic depiction of how someone would act in his situation. Still, readers didn't like how he didn't seem to care that his behavior was lowering the morale of the soldiers around him, only increasing their chances of dying. In the end, Daz was motivated by Commander Pixis' words to fight against the Titans despite his fears. This is why, although he was seen as lazy and cowardly, I wouldn't really say that I hated him as a character. Some readers might have even been impressed with Daz's ability to face his fears even though he was so afraid. Number 9. Reiss. This king of the walls was hated by everybody for two reasons in particular. The first reason was how he had treated his daughter, Historia. Even though he was already married, he had an affair with one of his servants, which resulted in the birth of Historia. Initially, Reiss didn't care about Historia at all. But after his other 5 children were killed by Grisha, he tried changing his ways and becoming a father all of a sudden to manipulate Historia into inheriting the founding Titan. This selfish idea to force Historia to inherit the Titan instead of doing it himself was one of the reasons why so many people didn't like him. He knew that those that inherit the 9 Titans, including the founding Titan, have their lifespan shortened to 13 years. So, lots of people on the internet thought that he only did this because he didn't want to die. Isayama sensei has said that Reiss is a character that couldn't handle the pressure put on him by the royal bloodline. Keeping that in mind, if you reread Attack on Titan, maybe you'll see Reiss a little differently and have a little more sympathy for him. Number 8. Floch. In all of Attack on Titan, Floch might be the character who's changed the most since when he first appeared in the story. Floch was a cadet from the same class as Eren and was the only new recruit to survive the battle to retake Wall Maria. All the others died from the stones Zeke had thrown at them. Some readers didn't like him from when he first appeared in the story. However, during the later half of the series, readers' impressions of Floch changed completely. Floch became the leader of the Jaegerists. Then, he secretly killed volunteer soldiers and had instructor Shadis beat half to death. A lot of people said that he had joined the dark side. Still, Floch's actions were motivated by his patriotism, and he believed that if he didn't play the villain, his country could not be saved. So, while he may have been evil, it's not like he was a character with no convictions. In Floch's first major scene, he was part of the argument over whether Erwin or Armin should live. He said, the only one who can destroy all the Titans is a devil, and he wanted Erwin to live, not Armin. Even here, you can see that he believes in order to have peace, someone has to play the role of the villain. So, even though he changed a lot in the later part of the story, what he believed in didn't change at all throughout the whole story. Number 7. King Fritz the 145th. It was King Fritz the 145th that ended the Great Titan War, and with the power of the founding Titan, he wanted to create a temporary paradise on Paradis Island. But lots of people say that he weakened the position of the Eldians too much, and he was the main reason that Eldians were put in a position to be persecuted relentlessly in Marley. People also made the point that if it wasn't for King Fritz the 145th, the rumbling would have never happened. But I think that these opinions don't factor in that he was actually trying to accomplish peace. King Fritz the 145th couldn't stand the way people would cruelly use Titan powers to torture and kill the Marleyans. So, he chose to collude with the Tiber and Azumabito families in order to end the dark age of Titans ruling the world. The rumbling was only ever meant to be a tool to scare people, and he had zero intention of ever letting anyone use it. But ironically, it's actually used by Eren to end world peace. So, it's also possible to look at King Fritz the 145th as a kind man who just wanted peace. Number 6. Zeke. A lot of people everywhere hated Zeke because he betrayed his father and mother, Grisha and Dinah, by ratting them out to Marley. Because of this, Grisha and the other Eldian restorationists were sent off to the island and turned into Titans. But the reason why Zeke sold his parents out to Marley was because he thought that there was a high chance if Marley found out what the Eldian restorationists were doing, Zeke's life, as well as the lives of his grandparents, would also be in danger. If we factor in this context, you could say that Zeke made the most rational decision he could have as a child. Another reason why people hated Zeke so much is because of how he treated the people he met on Paradis Island. Not only did he go out of his way to kill Mike, a character that was liked despite having only a few scenes, he also had a rivalry with Levi, the most popular character in Attack on Titan, and even fought him 3 times. On top of all of this, his Eldian euthanization plan to sterilize all Eldians was also not liked very much by readers. Number 5. Sanis. Sanis was a soldier in the military police that worked in the interior, and he tortured and killed anyone who threatened the monarchy in any way. In his first appearance in the story, he kills off Pastor Nick after visiting him because he holds important information about the walls. So, it was never really expected for readers to have a good impression of Sanis. However, later on in the story, Sanis shows that he's extremely loyal because he refused to reveal the secrets of the monarchy no matter how much torture he was subjected to by Hanji and Levi. Even this character, who's bad no matter how you look at him, showed that he had a strong sense of justice because he believed that if the truth that the current monarchy was fake became known in the walls, it would inevitably lead to chaos. The words that Sanis told Hanji, "This kind of role is taken in turns," reflected some of Isayama sensei's own beliefs and might have left a strong impression on many readers. Number 4. Grisha. Eren's father, Grisha, was hated by readers for a long time, especially when we saw how he led the Eldian restorationists in his past memories. When he was in Marley, Grisha raised his son on a completely anti-Marleyan philosophy, and would even scream things like, "We are the chosen people," which showed that he was an extremist even among the Eldian restorationists. Near the end of Grisha's story, we see that he really loved his son Zeke, and that Eren had been intervening in the past to manipulate him. This greatly shifted the reader's overall impression of Grisha. Still, looking at the way he behaved in Marley, it's easy to see why so many people didn't like him. You could even say that since he's the father of both Eren and Zeke, that his bad parenting is the main cause for everything. However, since coming into the walls and settling down with Carla, he had definitely become a better person. So, if it wasn't for the persecution Eldians faced in Marley, he probably would have been a good person back then too. Number 3. Eren. The protagonist, Eren, didn't receive a lot of criticism during the first half of Attack on Titan, but after the Marley arc started, a lot more people came to dislike him. One scene in particular that drew a lot of hate for him was the conversation he had with Mikasa and Armin in Volume 28, Chapter 112. In this scene, Eren tells Mikasa, "I've always hated you." After that, a lot of people didn't like him anymore. In the final chapter, We learned that he was lying about what he said to Mikasa and Armin so that they wouldn't hesitate to kill him. But Armin got mad at him for this and punched him in the face. If we look at nothing but the outcome, Eren had secretly became a hero who sacrificed his own life to save the lives of his friends. At the same time, he was definitely a psycho, especially when we hear him say, "Even if I didn't know that you'd stop me in the end, I think I still would have flattened this world." So, people's impressions of Eren vary greatly, depending on the reader's interpretations of him. Number 2. King Fritz the First. King Fritz the First was the person responsible for creating a world where mankind was ruled over by titans. Not only did King Fritz feed the corpse of his slave, the founder Ymir, to his daughters to make them inherit the powers of her titan, but he also treated the founder Ymir very poorly before and after she became the founding titan, even though she was the one who had built his empire for him. When a spear was thrown at him by one of the people he had conquered, the founder Ymir risked her life to defend him. All he said back to her was, "What are you doing? Get up." This was only one of many reasons why he was hated so much by the community. Although there aren't many people who have a positive view of King Fritz I, they could say that as a king, it was expected of him to want to take the power of the Titans and use it to increase the power of his nation. As for his poor treatment of Ymir, maybe he had no choice but to act that way in public because of the difference in status the two of them had. Number 1. Gross. One of the most hated characters in Attack on Titan was Sergeant Major Gross. Gross, who appeared in Grisha's past memories as part of Marleyan public security, did terrible things to people just because they were Eldians, like feeding Grisha's little sister, Faye, to his son's dogs while she was still alive. Sergeant Major Gross is eventually pushed off the wall by Eren Kruger and eaten by one of the titans he had made, a scene that I'm sure some readers managed to enjoy. Gross left his mark in Attack on Titan history as the most hated character. But still, he did play a crucial role by showing the readers just how bad the discrimination against Eldians was in Marley. He probably made a lot of readers feel more sympathetic towards Grisha and the other Eldians because of how oppressed they had been. If you think about it that way, then it becomes clear that even the characters we didn't like had an important purpose. Okay, that's all for the top 10 most hated characters. But I'd like to add one honorable mention, Gabi. I won't lie, I hated Gabi so much, basically until the rumbling started. Her personality was so annoying, and she killed Sasha, which is an unforgivable sin in my opinion. I don't care how much character development she had after that. Yes, I am petty, but someone who wasn't was Sasha's father. Even after Sasha's father learned that Gabi was the one who had killed his daughter, he actually helped her by saying, "It's up to us adults to shoulder the sins and hatred of the past." This showed that he was an extremely tolerant person and capable of seeing things from more than his own perspective. Alright, honorable mentions aside, that's all we have for this video. Yes, I did just skip over Gabi's possible good points and talk about Sasha's father instead. I told you, I'm petty. Please feel free to leave a comment if you think there were any other hated characters whose actions were actually pretty important to the story of Attack on Titan. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again in the next video.